Friedrich Nietzsche remains one of the most enigmatic and provocative thinkers in Western philosophy, a man whose ideas shattered conventional thought and redefined the very foundations of existence. His philosophy was radical, his insights piercing, and his words both poetic and dangerous. Though he did not consider himself an existentialist, given that the movement as we know it only took shape after his time, his influence on existentialism is undeniable. His exploration of human freedom, morality, nihilism, and self-overcoming became the bedrock upon which later existentialists such as Jean-Paul Sartre and Albert Camus would build their own philosophical landscapes. Nietzsche was born in 1844 in Rücken, Prussia, into a family deeply rooted in Lutheran Christianity. His father was a pastor, and young Friedrich was initially destined for the same path. However, his intellectual hunger led him in a different direction, one that would take him far from the religious orthodoxy of his upbringing. As he delved into the classics, philosophy, and philology, Nietzsche's mind began to rebel against the prevailing moral and metaphysical assumptions of his time. He questioned everything, seeking to uncover the deeper truths hidden beneath centuries of inherited dogma. At the heart of Nietzsche's philosophy is his critique of traditional morality and the concept of truth itself. He argued that Western civilization had long been shackled by the weight of Judeo-Christian morality, which he saw as a form of slave morality, a system that glorified weakness, passivity, and submission. For Nietzsche, morality was not an objective truth, but rather a construct born out of human needs and desires. In his famous work, Beyond Good and Evil, he urged his readers to transcend simplistic notions of good and evil and instead embrace the complexity of human values. One of Nietzsche's most controversial ideas was the proclamation that God is dead. This statement, often misunderstood, was not meant as a literal claim about the existence of a deity, but rather as a cultural observation. Nietzsche saw that modern society was moving away from religious faith, but in doing so, it had not yet found anything to replace it. This left a void, one that, if not filled, would lead to nihilism, the belief that life has no inherent meaning. He feared that without the guiding hand of religion, people would succumb to despair, or worse, cling to new dogmas just as oppressive as the old. Existentialism, as a movement, is deeply concerned with the question of meaning in an indifferent universe, and in this regard, Nietzsche was a prophet of existentialist thought. He saw nihilism as both a danger and an opportunity. While the collapse of traditional values could lead to a sense of purposelessness, it also provided the chance for individuals to create their own values, to rise above the herd mentality and forge their own paths. This idea is central to Nietzsche's concept of the Ubermensch, or overman, a figure who transcends conventional morality and embraces life with unyielding creativity and willpower. The idea of the Ubermensch is perhaps Nietzsche's most famous and misunderstood concept. It is not a call for domination or oppression, as some have misinterpreted it, but rather an aspiration towards self-overcoming. The Ubermensch is someone who has broken free from the limitations of inherited morality and societal expectations, who has created their own values and affirmed life in all its beauty and suffering. This idea would later resonate deeply with existentialist thinkers like Sartre, who emphasized radical freedom and the responsibility to define oneself. In Thus Spoke Zarathustra, Nietzsche presents his vision of the Ubermensch through a series of poetic and allegorical teachings. Zarathustra, the protagonist, descends from his mountain solitude to share his wisdom with humanity, but he is met with resistance. The people prefer comfort over challenge, security over freedom. They are content with mediocrity, what Nietzsche derisively calls the last men, those who seek nothing more than a life of ease and conformity. The Ubermensch, by contrast, is a being who embraces struggle, who dances with chaos, who sees hardship not as something to be avoided, but as the very forge of greatness. Another crucial element of Nietzsche's existentialist influence is his concept of eternal recurrence. This is the idea that one must live as though they would have to relive their life in every detail over and over for eternity. It is a test of one's relationship with existence. If the thought of reliving one's life endlessly is unbearable, then one is not living authentically. To Nietzsche, the ideal response to this challenge is Amor fati, love of fate. One should not merely accept their life circumstances, but embrace them fully, affirming every joy and sorrow as necessary components of their personal journey. This notion of radical acceptance aligns with existentialist themes of confronting the absurd and making peace with the chaos of existence. Camus, for instance, would later explore a similar idea in The Myth of Sisyphus, where he argues that one must imagine Sisyphus happy despite his endless labor. Nietzsche's eternal recurrence challenges us to live in such a way that we would gladly repeat our existence, a daunting but liberating prospect. Nietzsche's influence extends beyond philosophy and into the realms of psychology, literature, and even politics. His insights into the human psyche foreshadowed many of the developments in psychoanalysis, particularly in the works of Freud and Jung. His critique of herd mentality and mass culture anticipated many of the concerns of modern existentialist and postmodern thinkers. The existential struggle to define meaning in a world devoid of inherent purpose owes much to Nietzsche's fearless confrontation with nihilism. Yet, Nietzsche's life itself was marked by contradiction and tragedy. In his later years, he descended into madness, his once brilliant mind unraveling. Some speculate that syphilis was the cause, while others suggest a more complex interplay of factors. Regardless, the image of Nietzsche as a solitary, tormented thinker, railing against the limitations of human existence, has only deepened the mythos surrounding his work. His ideas, once dismissed as dangerous or incomprehensible, have found renewed relevance in an age where traditional structures continue to crumble, leaving many to grapple with the same existential questions he posed over a century ago. Nietzsche's legacy is one of intellectual courage and unrelenting inquiry. He dared to ask the hardest questions, to challenge the most sacred beliefs, and to push humanity toward a more self-determined existence. His philosophy is not easy, nor is it comforting. It demands engagement, struggle, and a willingness to embrace life's chaos rather than flee from it. In this way, Nietzsche is not just a philosopher of existentialism. He is a guide for those willing to forge their own path through the wilderness of existence. His words continue to provoke, to inspire, and to unsettle, a testament to the enduring power of his thought. In a world still wrestling with the meaning of freedom, morality, and self-creation, Nietzsche remains as relevant as ever. Whether one sees him as a visionary or a madman, there is no denying that he forever changed the landscape of human thought. His challenge remains: will we be content to follow the herd, or will we dare to become something greater?